about to join Don Neuen, co-host of Cowboy Logic Radio, and Denise Simon, host of the Denise Simon Experience, for a weekly situation report, or SITREP. 18 hours a day, Denise Simon lives her life as an Intel Analyst. 18 hours a day, Don Neuen lives his life in the world of rock and roll. 1 hour each day, Neuen receives a daily SITREP from Simon. Welcome to the Drive Time Situation Report. Fasten your seatbelt. You're now in Don Neuen's car, and he is calling in for his SITREP.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening, Denise Simon?
Neuen.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
How you doing?
Ladies and I'm doing pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get right to it. Welcome to this week's Drive Time Situation Report, featuring Denise Simon and myself, Don Neuen. Last week, we were not able to provide you with a show, and the reason that we couldn't do it is because of cellular signal problems. I couldn't get out on a clear line in order to get in touch with Denise for that night's SITREP. So, unlike any other radio show you listen to, I'm not sitting in a radio studio. I'm in my car. I'm driving home, sometimes at the wee hours of dawn, it feels like. Denise is down in Tampa. I'm calling her from my cell phone, and she's giving me my nightly situation report, or SITREP. Now, we come to you 52 straight minutes. We do not stop for commercial breaks and all that crap that is so annoying when you're trying to listen to a radio show. This is straight through, no commercial breaks. Now, Denise, I have to remember on my drive tonight, because it is July 3rd, and on July 3rd, on the exit ramp that I get off of to go home, off of I-20, it will be backed up. It will be gridlock. I will go 2.5 miles an hour because of the annual 4th of July celebration that takes place on the 3rd of July for some oddball reason in the city of Villa Rica, Georgia. So I really hope that I'm paying attention to what I'm doing when I get to that point, because I will be doing this show with you when I cross that exit ramp. And I'm praying to God that I remember to stay on the interstate and go to the next one. Sadly, you're not tracking me, and you have no idea of when I will get to that. So at some point in about 30 minutes, if you think about it, remind me to not get off at exit 24, if you don't mind.
Alrighty then.
All right, so let's get after it, Denise. Timestamp the show, and I have no idea what's been going on for the past 2 days, Nisi. I have been running wild. I've had no time to watch news or anything. We're just running wide open with rock and roll buses right now. So what's happening after you timestamp the show, girl?
It is 9:07 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the 3rd of July in the year of our Lord 2018, with tomorrow, the 4th of July, being the 242nd Independence Day.
Well, let me briefly say one thing, and I want to say this to all of my British friends, my British colleagues, and my British clientele. No offense intended, but I am so damn happy that we broke away from that crown. I just can't put that into words, Denise. I just can't put it into words. I love my British friends, and I value my British clientele, but you know what? I am so glad that I don't live under a crown. It's indescribable.
Well, living in Britain today is a kind of a tough place to live, isn't it?
Well, especially if you like freedom and you enjoy
Free
not
speech.
being. Yeah. All right. So what's going on? Lay it on
Well,
me, girl.
I'm gonna start off with something kind of ridiculous. Okay.
Okay. You don't ever do that.
No, I generally don't do that. When I lived in Georgia, actually, I used to hunt doves and quail and whatnot. And for some reason, I did not know that there was something called a Japanese quail. A quail was a quail, as far as I'm concerned. Um, but did you know that our U.S. government, under the National Institute of Health, spent $356,000 to study whether or not the Japanese quail was more sexually promiscuous on cocaine or not?
All right. Well, let me put that in layman terms.
Promiscuous.
So you're saying
promiscuous. Promiscuous. That didn't sound like I said.
promiscuous.
Yes, thank you.
No, but that's okay. Everybody know what you meant. All right. So basically, what you're saying is that we spent over $360, I think you said, $1,000 to find out if was it quail or dove? What quail?
Japanese quail.
Are hornier under the influence of cocaine.
And so the drug effects, because they did this to the quail because they say it has a similar brain effects in quail as in humans. I'd like to see that study, first of all. And then somebody had to get their hands on some cocaine, and then they had to, I guess, inject these poor quail, wherever the quail came from, and then to study their behavior patterns while on the drug, and found repeated, I don't even know if I can say this with a straight face, repeated exposure to cocaine during sexual activity may increase sexual motivation, and this is the good part, which may in turn lead to high-risk sexual activity. Now, I don't.
Hold on, because if somebody is just tuned in, this is really going to be a bizarre moment for them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about some Japanese quail that was injected with cocaine to find out what that does to their libido.
But Don, who determines? I can't even say. I'm not even sure I can ask this question with a straight face. Who determines what high risk sexual activity is for a bird, much less a Japanese quail?
I don't want to go there because if I answer you like I'd like to,
I mean, seriously,
we would get shut down.
Do you have a visual on Japanese quail on cocaine in high risk?
Walking around with an erection lasting more than 4 hours. I've got the visual. I do.
Okay, now, I guess we don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Drive Time Situation Report. If Steve Graddick and Scott James find this to be inappropriate, it may be the last time we come to you guys. But we are talking about Japanese quail being injected with cocaine and experiencing heightened sexual activity and erections lasting more than high risk sexual activity with an erection lasting more than 4 hours on a Japanese quail.
I didn't say anything about 4 hours and all that. We don't know what it is. But it was
could be 8 hours. It could be 8 hours.
It was repeated.
Denise, can you imagine standing at attention for 8 straight hours?
Okay. Okay. Seriously, though, I'm looking at this report. It is the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health. We actually did this, and it was done by, let's see here, Physiol Behave. He was the author of the manuscript. They did a whole manuscript on this thing. And
well, wait a minute. Say the guy's name again.
Yeah, right.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Is that what Barack Obama meant when he said, when he was praising Muslims for contributing to science?
Sure.
Great. I knew he meant something.
Okay, now here's the fascinating thing, though. We had to do a 14-day training phase first, and then
With the quail?
Yes, and then we injected the male quail once a day with 10 milligrams of cocaine or saline, so we could, make that during the trials here, the sex conditioning trials.
Sure.
I mean, really? I mean, it is just.
Denise, how did they condition them for 10 days?
I don't know. Drugs, procedure, training phase. There was a withdrawal period that was also 10 days. State dependency, 10-day withdrawal period. Data analysis, training.
Well,
analyze with a two-way.
We got a place out in Carroll County. Actually, it's in Carrollton, Georgia. For those that are listening on WLBB 1330 AM and 106.3 FM out in West Georgia, there's a place that this may be a popular testing ground for. And those of you that are listening know about the Kawa Spa. That's Kawa, Kawa Spa on South Highway 27. Denise, this place is always open, but nobody's ever there. It's really weird. And they have parking in the back. I wonder if they're like testing these quail at the Kawa Spa in Carrollton, Georgia. Could be.
Well, let me read
crazier things. We've seen crazier things.
Let me get to the conclusion of our study. It's not very long.
Thankful. I didn't know there
Here
was
we go.
one.
Yes, yeah. The current study is the first to demonstrate cocaine-induced state-dependent learning in sexual behavior paradigm. The findings contribute to our understanding of how interoceptive drug cues may function to enhance learning and motivation, ultimately lead to high-risk sexual activities in humans. Repeated cocaine has been associated with high-risk sexual activities, including sex with multiple partners and unprotected sex. Don't know if those quail are having unprotected sex. We didn't get to that part. But from state-dependent learning point of view, memories are best recalled in the same physiological state in which they were encoded. How do you know what the quails meant? The current findings suggest repeated exposure to cocaine during sexual activity may later increase sexual motivation and may in turn lead to high-risk sexual behavior. I just wonder what the quail had to say.
Probably something like, "Hey, baby, you come here often?"
Can you believe this?
Hey, listen. In the conclusion, did it have anything to do about rolling over and lighting up a cigarette?
That's all it did. That's all it had.
No mention of, okay, so they're not at risk for any kind of lung disease.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Denise, this has been fascinating.
I just had to share that one.
Yeah, you did a darn good job of sharing it with us. That was great.
It was ridiculous. Okay,
now. Hey, hold on. Before you go on, let's remind the listeners how much was spent on this study.
$356,000.
Was that taxpayer money?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I didn't know if it was some kind of privately funded stupidity.
No.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. $300,000+ to study whether or not Japanese quail get loose with the goose if they're on cocaine. Neat. All right, what else is going on, Neat?
Okay, now as you're approaching exit 24 on I-20.
Thank you for reminding me. I'm at 46A right now. Thank you.
Okay. If you happen to see a short little white girl with really, really curly hair and she's dancing, that would be one Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
And the thing is, I saw her earlier, and I thought it was Dee Snider from that band Twisted Sister.
Well, let's go over to the Pakistani...
Hold on, Denise. Hold on. That was funny. Just make a laugh for me. Okay, good. All right, so what's this got to do with Debbie Wasserman, Dee Snider?
Okay, because we're going to travel on over to Imran Awan of the Pakistani IT guys over there in the House of Representatives. Remember that case?
Yep.
Okay, well, the case is now officially closed.
I bet nobody's held accountable.
No, little Mr. Awan, it seems, got a little slap on the hand because he lied on a form when he got a loan from a bank. Nobody else got in trouble.
Ceases.
Well, I mean,
okay.
Now, seriously, we've had, this went on over a year. We had the House of Representatives Sergeant at Arms. We had an Inspector General report. We had the House Oversight Committee, blah, 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 blah. But it came down to Judge Tanya Chutkan. Judge Tanya Chutkan of Washington, D.C. Awan pled guilty to making a false statement on a loan application. As part of the deal, the prosecution dropped the fraud charges against his wife, Hina, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz is dancing in the streets. The missing equipment, because there is missing equipment, most of all the server that they turned over was a fake server, and little Miss Judge Tanya Chutkan, by the way, is from Jamaica, and she was a judge appointed by Barack Obama.
Shocking.
Yes.
Shocking.
Okay, but here's the deal. I mean, seriously, this is bad, 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 and I don't know. I mean, they can say that the case is concluded. There's no double jeopardy in this kind of thing. I hope somebody picks this thing up and absolutely runs with it, because it's an outrage.
Who was the prosecutor, and how inept do you have to be as a prosecutor to have this kind of an outcome on that kind of a case?
They went to a plea deal.
Inexcusable.
I mean, I don't know if I can be any more furious than I am. In September of 2016, the chairman of the Democrat caucus was actually briefed on the suspicious activity related to this server. Now, remember, the server, as best we can tell, is in the possession of Javier Becerra, who used to be a congressman, and now he's the attorney general out there for California. Okay? And remember, there was money that was missing. We had this funky car dealership that didn't have any cars. We had some real estate. We had some houses. We found a laptop in some, obscure cloakroom in the Capitol building somewhere.
Yeah, I remember it all.
Nothing's going to happen.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Now, who could pick this back up and run with it?
Well, I would think at some point it has to be the Department of Justice, or maybe even the D.C. police. I mean, but look, Don, I mean, seriously, this is government property. Somebody made off with government property. It's gone. I mean, laptops, iPads, least of which would be documents and thumb drives. This cat had sign-in privileges to virtually, I think 30 or 40 members of Congress on the Democrat side, to their emails. He had access into the DNC. Remember this?
Yeah, but why would the prosecutor accept this kind of a plea deal? Why?
I'm hoping maybe there's something else that would come out of this, but something tells me it won't. I was hoping in a plea deal that he's going to cough up Debbie Wasserman Schultz or Javier Becerra, or, some of the others in the House as part of this deal. But it just doesn't. Look, this guy, the access that he had, even remotely, he didn't even have to be in the building. He could be at that fake car dealership, which was called CIA or something. Remember that? Cars International, or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe something else is going on here, but something tells me it's false hope.
Oh, man. I almost wish we were back talking about the Japanese
quail.
Yeah, with the cocaine addictions. Wow. That's
an outrage.
Disappointment.
It's absolutely an outrage. Now the FBI, you remember they arrested this Omron cat in July 2017.
And what charges were filed?
I don't know. I guess it was because of this bank fraud that had occurred 6 months earlier. But, apparently maybe the bank dropped the charges or something. I don't know.
Doesn't smell right, does it?
It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. I'm not liking any piece part of this.
Well, I'll let you know if I see Debbie Wasserman Schultz. But
dancing.
I swear to you, I thought it was actually Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
I hear you.
All right, so what else is going on?
Well, we're still in the realm of abolishing ICE. Now, what do we do there?
Hey, hold on a second. Give me one good reason, because I can't come up with one, and I haven't heard any good reasons from the left or anything in the media. So give me one good reason we need to abolish ICE.
Did you hear it?
Yeah. Big old prego pause.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we're still trying to abolish ICE for no good reason whatsoever. I bet Michael Cutler's doing cartwheels.
Here's the deal. I wrote an article over at Political Vanguard today on this very topic. And abolishing ICE is a pre-9/11 mentality. Now, ICE was created, I think, in 2012 under the Bush administration. It took over from, I guess, what was once INS. And they had to be very, very aggressive.
Hold on. You got to correct yourself. You said 2012 under the Bush administration.
Oh, God. Yeah, sorry. That was awful, wasn't it? That didn't even work right. That didn't work right.
That's all right. We all
2003.
Okay.
Under the Bush administration. Thanks for that correction. And the reason ICE became so important is, remember at the time, we were all in a panic, especially the Bush White House. We don't know who's in the United States. We don't know where they are in the United States. We don't know what they're doing in the United States. We don't know how they got into the United States. But we were going to spend every resource we could possibly expend. We were going to track these people down. We were going to investigate them and deport them. So did it become a deportation force? Yeah. But in order to do what they had to do all these other investigations along with it. And that included, you have these weird people here. Are they bringing in weapons? Are they raising money? Is there some, dark net type operations going on? Was there some other kind of trafficking that was happening? So do you see how they had to expand the reach of ICE in order to get the whole story on whoever was in the United States that didn't belong in the United States. And I would argue, when it comes to female genital mutilation, that is under ICE. When it comes to gangs, least of which, by the way, is MS-13, that is under ICE. When Trump and both Obama too had to deport those Russians, some of them being here legally and not legally, that's a deportation. ICE had to be there too. Do you see what I mean? We also forget from 2007 to 2008 in Texas, we had something going on known as the Holy Land Foundation trial. Remember that one?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And we handed down countless convictions, and then we had a whole pile of unindicted co-conspirators. Well, a lot of that was raising money for the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas. And some of those people actually got deported. Others went to prison. Then, I would say that the Democrats have a very, very short memory. Remember Farouk and Malik, the San Bernardino terrorists?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. Then in 2000...
All right. Hold on a second. Hold on. Now, the obvious answer to this question I'm about to ask is anybody on the left. But who is it specifically that is pushing so hard to have ICE abolished?
Well, there isn't one single person now. It's clearly a movement. So, I mean, you got everybody from Kamala Harris to John Lewis to Answer to Antifa. It goes really from the sublime to the ridiculous here.
All right, and what is their lame reasoning? What are they offering?
Nothing. They're not offering only open borders, and that we are to accept anybody. Otherwise, the Statue of Liberty is going to continue to cry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got one thing to say. Vote in 2018. Vote in November.
All right.
Vote to try to protect ourselves from this absolute stupidity and destruction. This is pathetic, Denise.
Well, Don, look, in 2016, do you remember when we had this cat, Sayfullo Saipov? Remember him? He was born in Tashkent and came to the United States in 2010 under a diversity immigrant visa. What did he do? He rented a U-Haul truck and mowed down people in Lower Manhattan on November the 1st of 2017. Remember that
Exactly.
one? Okay.
Yeah. The role of the left now, and I've said this countless times on this show and Cowboy Logic and anybody else that'll listen to me, I don't even recognize those that are on the left as fellow American citizens. They're unrecognizable as an American citizen, at least an America-loving citizen. I don't get it, Denise. I can understand why, radical nutcase politicians act the way they act, okay? I get why the Democrat Party is so far away from the Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy. I get it. It's obvious. They're Marxists. Many of them are communists. A couple of those people that you met, the politicians you mentioned, I have ties with the Communist Party. But what I don't get are fellow citizens that are drinking this, that are imbibing this, and that are considering this to be the new norm. It's unrecognizable, Denise.
Well,
I don't get it.
I asked a couple of people, why are these Democrats doing this? And everybody keeps saying it's the future voter. And I disagree with that emphatically. And I'll tell you why. Because the states or the districts where these people end up, the Democrats already have the majority vote. They don't need any more.
So why do you think they're doing it?
I really don't know, except perhaps there's one thing, and I really probably need to write an article about this. And that is, I'm gonna go out there on a limb and I'm gonna say this is RICO, which is racketeering. Because
but hold on, and I want you to come back because you have mentioned RICO many times in our conversations for various reasons. But the thing is, the only thing that if voting base doesn't have anything to do with it, then the only thing that I can surmise is that these people on the left, especially the politicians who have just drones following them, are trying to invoke the Cloward-Piven strategy. They're trying to collapse the economy of the United States by overburdening the welfare state to where a reset button would be pushed, and instead of having basically a three-tier caste system, it goes into a two-tier caste system in which you've got the elites at the top, which are all these radical pukes, these politicians that are wanting to have this type of open border nothingness, and then you've got all of the rest of us. Could this possibly be designed to extinguish the middle class, which is government's greatest threat?
I am not convinced of that one either.
Then come up with something else. What else could it be?
Well, I as I started to say, I think it has a lot to do with RICO. Because if you are a vendor of sorts, and what I mean by that is you are a non-government agency that is recognized by a government agency to support refugees and to support asylees or any of these, they're actually called VOLAGs, volunteer agencies. Okay? The government gives big dollars to those agencies, and they can be churches or they can just be private business under a refugee program. And so then what happens? Well, the government pours out billions and billions of dollars into these agencies or these companies where they're supposed to be helping out these people, and then that money turns around and goes, some of it in campaign contributions, I say, goes right back to those Democrat candidates and those Democrat lawmakers. You see what I'm saying? It's just like the whole thing that happens with Planned Parenthood. So I believe, and here's an interesting one, and I'll give you an example. The Heartland Alliance International. Okay, now they have received huge dollars. In fact, the CEO pays himself $330,000 a year in pay. Now, what does he do? Well, the only thing he does is meet the special needs of LGBT refugees. How many can there be for him to get money from the government, and then he pays himself $330,000? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so I believe there's really RICO going on here. I absolutely do. We got the Ford Foundation. We've got the Open Society, obviously. We got the Public Welfare Foundation, which is, tied to Van Jones, the ACLU, the Color of Change, all that other kind of nonsense. Well, they had that Public Welfare Foundation, Don, has got assets in 2013, 5 years ago. They had assets at $488 million. Why do they need more government money? Do you see what I'm saying? The money has got to be making a whole circle here.
Unbelievable.
So
right, hold that
if
thought.
you got,
okay, go ahead, finish this thought, and then.
Well, I was going to say you got
speed.
You got things like the Arab Community Center, you got Border Action Network, you got Casa de Maryland, you got Welcoming America, you got, Advocacy Coalition. These organizations are getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. Now, don't you think that some of that money is going right back to the Kamala Harrises of the world, or the Sheila Jackson Lees, or the Maxine Waters? Because I do.
Yeah, no doubt.
Uh-huh.
Well, let me ask.
It's
let me
RICO.
ask you this. Why can this not be exposed and brought to light in Congress? Is it because both sides of the aisle are doing this?
It doesn't appear that both sides of the aisle are doing it. I mean, they can try a handful of Republicans that just so they can have some Republican or R's on the piece of paper. But I just gave you the Pakistani IT case where they just got slapped on the hands. Do you think that anything other than that would happen here?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Drive Time Situation Report, a weekly conversation that is recorded by Denise Simon and myself, Don Neuen. I'm in my car driving home from work after a long day in the office in the world of rock and roll, and this is the kind of stuff I get to listen to. And we decided that we would penalize you guys and bring you along for the ride.
And misery loves company.
That's right.
Join in.
So welcome along. Again, I'm in my personal car. Denise, I did drive past exit 24 so that hopefully I won't sit in gridlock for the July 3rd celebration in the city of Villa Rica. But I'm in construction, so it's probably going to be a little louder. Denise, on the other hand, is down in Tampa, Florida, in the Tampa, Florida area. And it's a radio show unlike any other. You know, we don't have any commercial breaks. Again, I'm on a cell phone. I could drop out or have all kinds of, technical problems here, and the quality isn't as good as it is for the Cowboy Logic radio show or Denise's show. But we wanted to bring you along for the ride on this SITREP. 52 minutes of straight talk and information, with the exception of these babbling moments that I have here. So at any rate, let me encourage you guys to do a couple of things. Jot down a couple of websites here. First of all, Denise's website is founderscode.com. If you haven't visited, go check it out. Sign up for her newsletter. It'll come to you in your inbox every time she posts an article. Some days you'll get a couple or three of them. Other days you might get 5 or 6 of them. But her information is always well vetted and something that you can count on and that you can then in turn share and discuss with complete integrity. So I encourage you to go to founderscode.com. Also, if you'd like to go to cowboylogic.us, that is the website for Cowboy Logic Radio. And there's a player on that website that you can click, and you can listen to a whole bunch of Cowboy Logic Radio up until about 9 o'clock at night, and then from 9 p.m. Eastern until 7 in the morning, we're running the overnight programming package that is part of Talk America Radio. I also encourage you to go to talkamericaradio.us. So founderscode.com, talkamericaradio.us, and cowboylogic.us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to it. Denise, what's the next topic of discussion?
Well, I mean, just kind of, as I said, how many LGBT refugees are we taking into the United States, right? We can pretty much say probably none. But then let's add this one. How many of those from Israel or what they call Hebrew immigrants are we taking in? Yep. We actually pay money into a Hebrew immigrant aid society. So even if the number is 2, there's still no reason that they should be getting any government dollars.
How about South Africa? We got an organization set up that's bilking the American system for not bringing in South Africans. They're getting slaughtered. Do you know about that at all?
I do. I watch that constantly. I watched actually a documentary on it last week.
What about an organization that's taking a whole bunch of tax dollars to rescue South African farmers from the slaughter? Is there you know anything about an organization that's been set up for that?
Nope.
Well, I'm sure there is one. Hey, listen. If we're injecting Japanese quail with cocaine to see if they'll have an erection that lasts more than 4 hours, I guarantee you we got something going on that's taking money to bring in people from places like Israel and South Africa as refugees. That's not being accomplished.
Well, what we ought to be doing is we ought to be going over there to South Africa to teach those white farmers how to defend themselves and protect their property.
Here's the problem. In the matter of 8 years, the communist regime with the second grade education level president has made it to much like Cuba, in which you're not allowed to possess a weapon.
It doesn't matter. I do it anyway. Start shooting people. It doesn't matter. I mean,
well, hey, when you've got a country where a rape takes place every 23 seconds, you got a problem on your hands.
Yeah, well, so much for the United Nations, human rights.
These people over there that are committing these kind of crimes, they don't just stop raping human beings. These people are raping things like chickens, too. I mean, it's sickening. All right, well, hey, tell me something good, Denise.
Well, I tried to when I got down to the whole Japanese quail thing.
Yeah, that was funny, I got to admit. How about some good news on, what about Michael Cohen? Anything happening with him? Is he going to flip on Trump?
Well, some are saying so. I'm not completely convinced of that. Here's a fascinating thing, though. I guess they went out and hired a whole bunch of people, FBI, I don't know, whatever. But they were able to compile, scotch tape, if you will, an awful lot of the documents that had gone through a shredder. And there was
Correct.
really...
I heard about that, yeah.
And there was nothing remarkable in there. Nothing. There was no smoking gun in what they have scotch taped together again.
Well, have you heard of anything since this Mueller investigation started that's remarkable outside of the exposure of the Democrat Party and the left wing and the Obama administration? Have you found anything to be remarkable that doesn't include those entities?
Well, we're not supposed to know anything that the Mueller team is doing. I mean, if there aren't any leaks coming out of there, if there are leaks with any respect to what Mueller is doing, it's on the receiving end. It's not on the originating end.
Yeah, I got you on that. I'm just getting a little tired of it. Hey, you want to go eat dinner up at the Red Hen in Lexington, Virginia?
No, I'll take a pass.
Really now? Mm-hmm. I don't want to go there either. Quite frankly, when I saw their menu, I wasn't very impressed with it. Were you?
I didn't see it.
Who likes that kind of crap?
I didn't see it. Can't help you.
Not to mention the fact that who wants to hang out in that kind of an atmosphere?
Well, I don't know
I'm eating farm fresh eggs. Everything that I'm eating is coming from a farm. No kidding. Everything you eat comes from a farm. The problem, Denise, is that liberals think that, farm products are actually grown in the grocery store. A lot of them think that.
Yeah, and that's why they, that thunder and rain goes off every once in a while over in the produce section.
Yeah. I know a few liberals that need to actually shower under that rainstorm in the produce section.
Yikes! I hope you don't.
Well, look at the Antifa people. Look at the people that were. Where was it this past weekend? Portland. Yeah, what a s-hole city.
Didn't used to be either. It used to be a great place.
Yeah, if you like the northwest corner of the United States where you can be depressed more than you're positive.
I mean, as I said, it used to be a great place.
Hey, I wonder if I'm alienating any of our listeners, because we've got some listeners that are very faithful up in that part of the country. Why don't you people move? All right, give me some more stuff, because I'm going to get myself in trouble here, I think.
Uh-oh. All right, well, officially today, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence released the final report on the Russian activities through 2016. And what is actually kind of remarkable about this, Don, is it's a bipartisan report that there were certainly Russian activities, but they didn't stop after the election. They went on at least through January of 2017. And I would argue that in 2017, in January of 2017, we probably, parts of the government probably necessarily quit investigating it, such that it's still going on today, and we haven't really taken any provisions or steps to ensure that it's not happening to the point where that level of interference doesn't strike again at the midterms or in 2020.
I wouldn't doubt it. Is that IRA building in St. Petersburg still up and running?
No, but that they don't need it to be, or at least that's what we're told that it's not. But they don't need it to be, because they already have it all figured out now. They may have moved it because it got exposed, and maybe it's not in St. Petersburg. Maybe it's sitting right inside, some university in Moscow where they're paying, the students to do it.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. So you don't want to go eat at the Red Hen restaurant. I just want to make sure.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, cool. Back to you.
Thanks for asking. Then we have, this is another interesting thing that has come up, that, careful on these names here, Roy Cockrum, Scott Comer, and Eric Schoenberg sued Donald Trump for president and Roger Stone. And the Cockrum Schoenberg were DNC, Democratic National Committee donors. Comer was a former DNC employee, and they sued the Trump campaign essentially over the whole WikiLeaks thing, and the judge threw it out today. So, is that a good thing? Yes. So,
what was the basis for their lawsuit?
Well, I guess that that the Trump campaign was engaging in a conspiracy with unidentified Russian agents and WikiLeaks to publish the hacked emails.
Ooh, that sounds scary.
Well,
hey, Denise, speaking of Russian and all this stuff, let me ask you this. What do you think Trump's going to talk about with Putin when they have their little confab regarding Iran and the role it's playing in Syria?
I'm very nervous about that one, because I hope he doesn't turn into an Obama 2.0 on this one and says, if you can get Iran out of Russia, then out of Syria, then we'll leave Syria. I hope that isn't the plan.
And what would you like to see be the plan?
That Iran,
in a perfect world, if he walks in there with a set of stones, the size of Montana, what happens?
If he does, then I would say that Trump would say to Putin, you get out of Syria, you get Iran out of Syria, and we're going to have a regime change and remove Assad.
And what do you think Putin says then?
He's going to say, ha, 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 ha. That topic, that part of the topic would never come up, because Trump has already said he doesn't want to be in Syria. And a lot of people say that we have no business in Syria. But I argue that we do. Because let's not forget, we had Islamic State, and do you think that Islamic State would kind of reconstitute itself? My answer to that is yes.
Of course it would.
Okay, then you have the Syrian component, and then you have the whole migrant component of Syria and Iraq, and I would also argue North Africa, that has caused a massive migration into Europe. Europe can't pay their bills into NATO because they're having to take care of all of these, migrants. And then the pressure goes over to the United Nations. The United Nations says, United States, you need to take these people in. We have taken these people in. And it's all because Obama didn't stabilize, that red line thing. He didn't stabilize Syria when he could have. So we can't leave Syria. We can't leave Syria until it's stabilized. And we can't It's not going to be stabilized until Assad's gone, Russia's gone, Iran's gone.
What if as a concession, Trump allows Russia to keep that port base, the naval base?
He has a 99-year lease on it. He keeps it anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah, but if Trump says we want you out, that means that too. No?
No, because I mean, we've got ports here that are owned by foreign governments, or have leases by foreign governments too. So I mean, ports, that's a very common thing. I don't like it, but that's common.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, and we got about 2 minutes left. What about in your opinion would be a good mutual? And I know you don't like to do anything mutual with the Russians.
No.
But a good mutual agreement between Trump and Putin with regard to Syria. What would be something that we need to get Putin to do, and how do we get him to do it?
I don't think we can in Syria. So I don't think there is a mutual thing. Unless he turns around and says, you're going to have to add in some other hostile locations into that, and that would be North Korea, because Pompeo is flying back over there now for the third time, because we have found out that, North Korea is not only not dismantling their nuclear program, but they're continuing with it in earnest.
Uh-huh.
So
I was afraid of that.
Yeah, so you can't have a singular conversation. You see what I'm saying? I mean, a singular topic. One leads into the other because of the grip that China has on North Korea, the grip that China has on, Latin America, the grip that Russia has on North Korea, the grip that Russia has on Latin America, and then we have the whole Middle East component. Now, China's not in the Middle East, but they're in Africa. So, I mean, it is. If you kind of looked at this on a picture, you'd have strings and push pins all over the place.
I got you. All right, we got to wrap it up.
Oh, wrapping it up.
Gentlemen, yep, ladies and gentlemen, Denise Simon and I are grateful that you have invested 52 minutes of your valuable time in the Drive Time Situation Report radio show. We don't take your time lightly, and we sure would never consider wasting it, even though we talked tonight about Japanese quail and the effect that cocaine has on a 4-hour erection. We do not take your time lightly. We appreciate the fact that you joined us. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. Denise, take us home as only you can do.
Enjoy Independence Day and salute. Good night, everybody.